Welcome everyone to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Possibly the only one you listen to, so by default, I'm not lying.
A W's a W.
Win's a win, we'll take it. Episode 38, according to my notes, coming to you live pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The time is 8:49-ish on August 8th. Is it August 8th?
9th.
9th. Oh my God. I just lost a day of my life and I didn't even realize it. August 9th, 2016, for all you fact checkers out there. I will be one of your hosts for this evening. My name is Tim Krajewski. You can follow me on the Twitter at Pirate Mushroom. The man across the desk for me, my rock, my first mate. I'm Michael Phelps. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm good. I don't quite understand that last one, but I'll take it.
Being topical, sir. It's the Olympics. Get with the times.
Yeah, I not watched a single minute of it.
Oh,
anyway,
you're a terrorist.
I did look at the medal count, and I saw USA was winning.
Yeah,
at like 9 o'clock this morning.
Of course. Come on, bro. USA.
China was close.
Oh, but we have a wonderful episode for everyone today. Probably the best episode yet. We're going to end with e-news because we did some heavy research before the show and we have like one or two stories for there that we have to touch on. We will have one edition of Community versus the Man, Hearthstone edition. Hearthstone is now in the targets of the community from their competitive scene. I want to say it's their competitive scene is the one having the issue with it. So we will bring that up a little bit. Kind of see what the mob mentality in esports can do. We will discuss cheating in esports, basically the ramification of it. Brandon has a list of people who he's going to call out for cheating. Is that right? Is that what you did?
That is exactly what I said I would never do.
All right, we'll see.
All right, I will talk about it later.
We'll see. I think you said you were going to call out Fallen, but okay. And then real quick though, before we get into that, I feel like I sound different. We're in a different studio today, and these mics
it's much louder. I think.
Are they? Let me turn this down a little bit. Let's okay. I feel like they're more clean.
And there's also no cough button, so like if I clear my throat or something, just deal with it.
Do it off mic. Be a professional. But I wanted to bring the show and I wanted to start it out talking a little bit about the International. Obviously, we're in the middle of it. The main event just started the other day, so I don't want to get too far involved with what's happened or anything like that. We'll break down it fully next episode when it's fully done and complete. I know Brandon is just pounding away at his Dota 2 trivia, so he's going to have an awesome breakdown of the finals. But have you watched any of it? I know you've attempted.
I watched games last Tuesday. I watched like 2 games last Tuesday, but the problem is I don't know what's going on. I know the noob stream started recently.
Did it start up?
It has started.
Okay. So I apologize for that. I guess all their TIs, it's been there forever, and now they only are doing it for the main event, but they did not have it at the start. I guess it's a hit and miss.
Like you said, there's like 50. Yeah, there's 50 TI streams, different languages, and different people doing it. And
it's a busy time. But
apparently,
okay. So it's up. All right, good. So check that out and let me know what you think. That being said, maybe I should watch the noob stream because it's actually newcomer. If you're actually looking for it on Twitch, by the way, it's twitch.tv/DotaTI newcomer. But because I am terrible at predictions, which I think I've said on this show before that I don't like doing predictions because all it does is prove how much I don't actually know of the stuff that I'm pretending to know about. Because I think I said in the last episode that America will be poorly represented in the sense of I felt EG and Digital Chaos was not going to really go anywhere with this. And actually, both of them made it out of the top half in their groups, automatically making it to the upper bracket for the main event. Now, Wings did defeat Digital Chaos, so I wasn't completely off. They managed to squeeze out of their groups. But that being said, in Group B, which Digital Chaos and eHome, out of both the teams that were able to top that, eHome, keep in mind, is the Chinese qualifying team from the wild card matches. They won their group and even made it onto the round 2 of upper bracket. They're next facing EG. So you had Team Liquid. Team Liquid did not make it out of the top half of their group, so they started out in the losers bracket, and no one was going to bank on that. No one. So maybe I am just as smart as the other people who don't know what they're talking about. Because ultimately, that's what predictions are, Brandon.
It's guesses.
It's guesses. That's all it is. Because no one knows what's going to happen. EG actually ended up doing fine in Group A. They ended up second place. OG, who is my favorite to win it all. That being said, OG was defeated in the first round of the upper bracket by MVP Gaming. So that was, to me, was an upset to my bracket. And now OG now OG is done. They're out. Because TNC beat OG in the losers bracket. So right there,
OG's out already?
Right there, my bracket has been busted. So if anything, I'm consistent. It's all my March Madness, any CSGO major. I suck at them. I suck at brackets. And it's because I go with the obvious. And for some reason, I always decide to get.
Do they have a bracket that you can fill out, like a fantasy bracket?
Oh yeah, Valve has it all decked out for Dota.
You have to go in the game. It's in
the game. I mean, actually, Liquipedia had their own brackets that you could do too for free. I believe.
I should have known about that. All right,
but the compendium, dude. You can. I mean,
you have to buy the compendium to do it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's just like it goes to the winners and it's part of the prize pool and all that. So if you want to feel like
that crested $20 million, by the way.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah.
So 20 million is is that the final? Are they?
It's gonna go. I think it's the final, but it's over 20. I don't know what it said exactly.
Okay. Insane. So yeah, OG's out. Defending major champion. This was their time to take the international, and no, they're not doing it. Last night in the first round of the losers bracket, you had what could easily be a semifinals between Team Liquid and Na'Vi. That was just a best of one. Okay, so Liquid ended up beating Na'Vi, which Na'Vi actually had the better draft. I caught this one last night after the Olympics were done, where Na'Vi actually had they picked their heroes. They picked a lot of the faster heroes. They had the faster roster, but Team Liquid, like I said, they're the odd Cinderella story to me, even though they get second place all the time.
I think we talked about that last.
No, it's weird. It's weird that you can get second place all the time and yet be viewed that you suck.
Yeah,
and that's Team Liquid. There's a weird alternate universe where Team Liquid wins all the time. This is not that one because they get second place all the time. That being said, though, if they make second place in this international, it will be quite impressive considering they have to go through. Let's see, they took the best of one for the knockout round in the round 1 for losers. Now they have to do round 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they have to get through 6 things. I mean, they are starting from the ground level. So the definition of a struggle, which is, I think they can do it. They're playing Newbie next, which lost to Evil Genius in the round 1 of the upper bracket. So only time will tell. It's actually going on right now, so don't sue us if we are talking about information that's not even important, which is why I'm not going to go any more in depth on this because it is going as we are recording. I just wanted to point the fact that I suck at predictions. Speaking of predictions, Brandon, you came to me with this idea of talking about cheating in esports, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. But you were like, no, I've been watching film. I'm going to call out some names.
All right. First things first. No, that is not how that happened. I've actually been completely against talking about cheating on esports because I feel like the community, the mob mentality that we can fall into later, that we're going to talk about later, can turn on people talking about this stuff for little to no reason other than the wrong person heard it at the wrong time and shouted about it.
First off, I'd be more flattered if there was a mob that listened to the podcast
I mean, we might have one episode of like 15,000 listens, and it's the one about cheating, and everybody hates us for it.
It's going to be our first impression onto the masses. Yeah, this is true. This is true. But I do want to start then with talking about cheating in esports as a disclaimer. I have not done any intense actual research on who is cheating. We are solely talking on the accusations from the community, from people within, and we're talking about the implications of it, what could be the consequences.
Yeah, we have no proof that anybody's name who's mentioned anywhere has ever cheated or is cheating currently.
Yes, some of these. Right. So let's get into it, because right now the hot topic is with Overwatch.
Right. So just yesterday, TSM released their Overwatch team, which was then picked up very, very quickly by Complexity. The reason TSM's statement said that two of the players on the team were caught cheating in Counter-Strike. They were caught cheating as little as 3 months ago.
Okay, so pretty recent.
Recently. They were caught cheating, started playing Overwatch, swore up and down they weren't cheating anymore. TSM releases a statement, or TSM is basically, Reginald is on stream and saying that, we've talked to him, or we've talked to them. It's multiple players. We've talked to them. We feel, that, people make mistakes, second chances, all that sort of stuff. About 6 days later, TSM puts out the statement that says, we're releasing this team. We don't feel like they fit with our brand. There's been, it said in there, it said in there continued allegations of cheating. So like apparently people are still talking about these.
People still talked about it, and one can read between the lines that maybe TSM had felt the same.
I mean, if TSM didn't feel the same, they did a terrible job of defending them, because defending them would have said no, they're not cheating, and instead they got dropped. Complexity wasted, I kid you not, it was like 6 hours difference between when TSM dropped the team and then when Complexity picked it up. Maybe TSM used it as an easy out. Maybe TSM was just not interested in having the Overwatch team anymore, and they were just like, oh, well, they might be cheating.
It could very well be.
We don't want to deal with this. So
now, when Overwatch first started picking up professional players, they're not the only ones who made the jump from Counter-Strike, though, that had a history of either getting accused of cheating or straight up you were caught cheating in some various form or fashion, whether that is hacking or match fixing or, you name it, something that has been frowned upon. Because you have the list in front of you. It's, Steel. He's playing Overwatch.
Steel is playing Overwatch. AZK is playing Overwatch. The two gentlemen I was talking about before, which I wasn't going to name, but it's in TSM. Their names are in TSM's press release on it, was Nicholas TJO and Torque TJO. Several players a couple of the players on Envious, who is the team currently ranked number one, who is 56-0 in tournament play right now. They've swept every tournament they've played in, which
is insane, right? Like that is
but I mean it's not
insane.
It's not something we haven't seen before.
No.
Nip and Counter-Strike famously was 87-0 or whatever.
Right, and to point out the obvious, if you're on a 56-0 streak, I would say getting accused of cheating probably comes with the territory.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like, and this is even if you want to bring up, because the recent accusations in Counter-Strike that I feel are always going on is like Fallen, right? Fallen is always the getting called out for cheating by somebody. And this is the same case like with Envious. I feel like there's more evidence of them not cheating than you showing me a 30-second clip of a flick shot, which we have all made crazy shots before.
Yeah, and a lot of people. So the biggest drawback to that is, and this happens in Counter-Strike, it's specifically when Fallen, like, so Richard Lewis and Thorin, everybody was talking about the likelihood of there being cheaters in the professional scene cheating at LAN tournaments, even though, gear's supposed to be inspected. There's really no surefire way to stop it, right? So everybody talks about that. Everyone was talking about that. So with Fallen, and a bunch of his clips got pulled up, and a lot of the issues stemmed from the fact that the demos and such, and like the replays in Overwatch, the stuff that you can go and rewatch again, if you're not watching from the first person, looks different than what you would see if you were.
Well, same thing with Go TV and Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Like all that is...
It's bits and pieces. It's like digital recreation of the original event.
Yeah, of him playing on his computer.
Yeah, so with Fallen specifically, there was a lot of clips that showed like the crosshair kind of moving in a flat line to the left and then up, which is a very digital type of movement. Everyone else, like if you're actually playing, you would go diagonal. But it's so everyone was saying, oh, that means there's something digitally moving his crosshair. And then, all these people that actually watch Go TV demos all the time and says, actually that's just the way Go TV reproduces the demo. It's not that weird.
I think one thing though to also say, like it would also be naive of someone to say though that there's no cheating, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like I'm not saying the top players are cheating, right? I'm not saying the top teams are cheating, because I think the thing with, if you're cheating on LAN, which is like if you're like Overwatch right now, it's predominantly all through online, right?
Yeah.
So obviously that would be much easier to get away with cheating because you don't have some judge going to your house. You don't have someone inspecting your gear.
Absolutely.
Right? But with these teams like Fallen, think of Fallen and SK Gaming. They are at every tournament. They make every finals. They have hundreds of thousands of people watching them.
All the time.
All the time. Do you not think like
somebody would see something?
Eventually that's going to have to get busted. I mean, unless he is just so smooth with whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Like you can't, I would assume, and we discussed this a little bit off the show last night, where esports is a difficult thing to get into, right? Even more difficult than the NFL.
Apparently so.
To some studies. And the cheating could help you get into the scene, right?
So, okay.
If you're thinking of like, well, why would someone cheat, right? Like, why would you try risking it? First off, professional athletes who make millions of dollars cheat. So, the asking why is just a stupid, pointless conversation. But
to win,
to win, and to get noticed in esports. So if you can cheat your way up into teams noticing you as a household name, then you get picked up by this team. You're starting to play with them, and somehow, you end up being Freakazoid, who is a professional Counter-Strike player.
And I'm not trying to dog on Still or Dazed or anything. Everyone always feels so bad about them for the match fixing stuff. And this isn't saying that they were ever cheating, right? They did the match fixing thing where they fixed the match to make some money. But because it was Steel and because they were on this really good North American team, they were able to continue playing their game, streaming it, and still make a living off of it. They're not playing, high-level competitive games. They're playing like S-rank, pug games for money. But it's what you're talking about. It's once you get to that level, it's much easier to stay there. So it almost benefits to cheat your way to the top. And then, like we talked about last night, you're playing with professional players. You're around the professional scene. You probably have a contract. You're
one of 6 teams on Overwatch, one of 5 in Counter-Strike.
Yep. You are able to play and practice with players that are legit that good. And at that point, the only thing that would hold you back is if you're just a bad teammate.
Exactly.
Like if you can't adapt to the team, then you might get kicked. But the mechanical stuff you can probably just catch up with.
I agree, because it's not like if you're cheating to get noticed, you're probably already good enough at the game to be carried enough by pros to look like a pro. It's not like you're going from day one never playing Counter-Strike cheating and then all of a sudden getting invite, right? You're
Right.
probably up there, maybe S League or FPL, and you just need to get that next edge, right? That extra boost, which is something that cheating could do for you. But then I want to kind of transition to the consequences, right? Everyone's saying Fallen's a cheater. You know, AZK was a cheater in Counter-Strike, and he's going to cheat in Overwatch, and all these people envious is cheating in Overwatch. First off, how do you want to catch him? We've already discussed, film is not a reliable source. Sure, it's something to be looked at, right? That's probably source number one. But then the one where thinking of the cameras on
Mouse
the
cameras.
the hand cameras. So you're going to have someone locked away in the dungeon trying to sync up what they're seeing on screen with the camera. Well, then you have human error there.
Right.
These computers can apparently already barely run the games as is at these LAN tournaments because there's constantly technical issues.
I'll never understand all that nonsense.
So there needs to be a surefire way of doing it. Inspecting the gear, making sure nothing's inside the mouse, or I've heard that's some ways they'll do it is like all these mice now have like computer chips in them and software.
Yeah.
And like people will go to the lengths of like accusing people of like, well, they've downloaded it on their mouse. So when you plug in it will upload to the computer and somehow go unnoticed by the referee and behind them, the dude who plays after them, the dude who played before them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm not trying
to go unnoticed by all these people.
I'm not trying to insult the tournament organizers or the people that are tasked with checking this gear. But from my experience and the people that work the events, they're all volunteers. I cannot begin to think that a volunteer...
He's going to call out Fallen?
Well, not even calling out. I don't even think a volunteer would even know what to look for when inspecting gear. Like you're not going to have a guy that's like an engineer at Razer that knows like the inside and outs of a mouse.
To know like if this file is a hack,
like me or you looking at the bottom of a mouse and going, yeah, it looks legit.
It looks, I mean,
yeah,
sure, man.
Like wiggle it around.
Plugged it in and the lights came on and I mean, looks good to me. Sure, man. Like they're not running these things through some X-ray machine and going, there's a hack. You see it right there. I saw it there. He put a file on his mouse.
Like, because I mean, we've been to tournaments. I mean, there were no TSA agents like scanning our stuff.
You just walk kind of in and plug in your mouse.
So I don't, and you know what? I don't think tournaments care, honestly.
I don't think they care until a player gets caught cheating, and then you come up with the issue where we're at now, where what's this punishment, right? Because look at Steel, right? All those guys set the bar where if you match fix, lifetime ban.
Yeah.
Okay. But we've also seen where now that they're professionals in Overwatch, okay, well, obviously people don't care that much.
So yeah, you've got the issue of, I have seen comments on Reddit saying we should not allow any player that's ever cheated to ever play any games again.
And so I want to draw the comparison from now esports to traditional sports and thinking about forgiveness or however you want to look at it, right? Tom Brady, the NFL's golden child, he was just unofficially busted for Deflategate, right? Deflating the air out of footballs, making them easier to catch and everything there. I say unofficially because he has never came out and fully admitted that he did it, but crushing a cell phone probably means you did it. And, you just don't want people to know. You look guilty, Tom. But
that's a lot coming from this guy, by the way.
I love Tom Brady.
Loves him some Tom Brady.
Great, man. But 4-game suspension.
Right.
So all but admitting to deflating footballs, and which is highly cheating in the NFL scene, he gets 4 games. You get busted for drug abuse, as in steroids or something. In baseball, you might get 10 games, or it all varies on.
That's like there's a number of times. Like I think after your 3rd offense or whatever, it's done.
It's like it's the same thing. Most sports have that, but it's after like the 3rd or 4th time of this. right? Where you're going to get the hammer brought upon you. Every other time, it's more or less just a little slap on the wrist and we can all move on. And we told you not to, so hide it better next time because we know you're doing it. Well, with esports, how are you going to do that? Are you going to suspend these players for X amount of months? X amount of tournaments? Is the community going to be okay with that? You know, there's no governing body to represent this. So if ESL thinks, okay, well, they cheated during ESL, so we're going to give them a lifetime ban. Well, not everybody is going to follow through ESL or Valve's order all the time like they're doing with the lifetime bans for Steel and company. You know, they're not always going to agree with that method for, all right, well, he had some aim assistance, but it wasn't blatant, aimbotting or something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be some level of cheating that people are going to view as, okay, it was cheating, but I mean, it wasn't as hardcore as others.
Yeah.
Or are we going to say, if you cheat, you're dead to us. Good luck in your future career. Because you're walking a fine line. If you're thinking like, and I use Fallen for an example because he is arguably the best CS:GO player out there that's being accused of this. Think if Fallen all of a sudden was busted for cheating, would you like to see him, someone who has sold the game on so many levels, growing the community, would you like to see someone like that banned from the game for life?
That's tough. Just for reference, I just did a quick Google search on ESL's cheating rules. It looks like they updated a lot. Of the first hit comes back from 2014, and it said if you receive a VAC ban in Counter-Strike Go, if you receive a VAC ban, you're banned for 2 years from ESL. Pro League tournaments.
Which, I mean, if you're banned 2 years, you're basically done. You're done.
Do I think a lifetime ban on Fallen, if he were to be caught cheating, someone that's been that kind of driving force in the community,
it would look very bad on esports. I mean, if any of these top pros, like imagine if Envious and Overwatch, like if almost an entire team gets busted for it.
I mean, I think if an entire team, if it's one person acting on their own, it's kind of hard to narrow it down. I would like to see him banned for multiple years. I think, and I also think what Valve did to like Steel and them was good, in that Valve didn't allow them to coach or to even be an employee of a competitive team. Because I understand. Let's face it, cheating happens in every top level of everything. Cheating happens.
Agreed.
But when it becomes publicly known, it is such a bad image to have, like you said, for esports and for the games, that I just feel like you have to cut ties with it. You just can't let it sit and like roll over. You just can't.
And maybe in a weird way, a huge cheating scandal might push the sport to having a governing body.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, we can't, as when I say we, I mean like ESL, Face It, all these organizations, they're going to come together and be like, we can't do this on our own, right? Like we have to agree, we have to join forces and make this happen. So one thing though, the X factor in esports, in all communities, and that is the fan base. Because no matter what business decision Valve or ESL or ESEA or Face It makes,
it's going to be wrong.
It's going to be wrong, and they'll hear about it from thousands of people every day for the rest of their lives. And if they change their mind to what the people want, it's still going to be wrong. So it's a lose-lose situation, which brings us to our next topic, and that's basically mob mentality in esports, right? Hearthstone recently, well, I say recently, I think today there was the patch, and it's coming out next week, is their new expansion, their new card set coming out. And for those not familiar with Hearthstone, I know we don't talk about it a whole lot on this show because, let's face it,
it's such a casual game. I mean, I know people play it professionally, but it's
how are you going to talk about
game.
RNG?
It's a card game.
So RNG. But there was a new card that came out for the Priest, who the Priest is a struggling class in that game. It's not used in competitive. In fact, some of the best players in Hearthstone have an issue getting their priests, like playing a priest all the way to legendary status, because it's just their
Awful.
gimped class. And so in this new card set coming out, everyone was expecting something big from the Priest to help their competitive scene and the pro scene. And Blizzard released a called Purify, which Purify lets you silence one of your minions, which essentially silencing is taking away the card effect. If you ever played a card game, if not, I don't know how to explain that. And then you draw a card. So you silence your own minion and you draw a card. And it's a 2-cost thing. Again, look it up. It's basically not a game changer whatsoever. Like even like the pros, like Trump, who is like a Hearthstone guru, is coming out and basically making fun of this card, basically saying,
I mean, just for reference,
what is the point of this?
Just for reference, the Priest already has a card called Silence that lets you silence any minion on the board for only 0 mana.
So it's not what the Priest needed, and it's not what the public thought it needed. And it's gotten so bad that Ben Brody, who is like the lead developer in Hearthstone, he's very good with the community as far as responding, made a YouTube video basically saying like,
it's called Designer Insights.
We did not make this, we probably delivered it poorly. Okay.
Bad timing.
He admitted to this was not the card that we should have released, right? Like this was not, we read the community wrong. Then he made the big mistake of saying it's fun. It's going to be a fun card to use.
I did laugh at that. Like his thing is like, if you're worried about constructed, maybe this card isn't for you, and it doesn't have to be.
Right. It doesn't have to be a competitive card. Not every card has to be for competitive play. It can be a fun card to play around with your deck. Instantly, #1 comment on Reddit was just, oh, so if I want to just have fun, I could just use this card. Oh, look, it's so fun losing. Oh, man, this is great. Having a useless card in my deck. It's so fun. Which I understand what, Ben Brody was saying not every card is going to be a home run, right? Like every card game has to have their trash. That's the point of it.
I kind of laughed about that too. Like he basically said like, yeah, this card is awful, but not every card's going to be the best. And it's like, if we didn't release this card, the other cards would have been awful for whatever class.
Right.
Anyway.
So this is spawning on though to the conversation of mob mentality in esports, because it kind of branches off into our last discussion. I don't even know if we brought it up last episode, but the fact that, or did it happen in between our episode?
What?
I'm talking about ESL and VP.
Oh.
That happened? I don't know.
It happened in between.
Did that happen in between? It seems so long ago. This week is a long one. But the crowd is speaking up. Brandon, what are they upset about now?
All right, so we did talk about them being relegated to Premier.
Right. So Virtus Pro in Counter-Strike.
In Counter-Strike became Virtus Premier. They tanked out of E-League. Or I'm sorry, E-League. ESL Pro League. Then by ESL was given a new rule was created to say the last place Pro League team, which was Virtus Pro, was going to play the first place Premier team, which was Penta, in a best of 3 to see who got to go into the Pro League. Never done before.
Very European soccer.
Everyone was like, oh, they just want VP to stay in the Pro League. Everyone was kind of like, all right, whatever, best of 3, no big deal. Penta beat Virtus Pro. So now Virtus Pro has bombed out of the league, was supposed to be relegated, then was given a second chance, got beat in a best of 3 by Penta, and then ESL comes out with a new format where they take 4 teams. Is it 4 teams? No, they take 8 teams, I think it was, have a community vote for 4 of them, who then go up against each other to figure out who's going to be in Pro League.
Like, what an ass backwards way to do things.
It was a community vote on the top 2 teams from Europe, and I think was it Europe and America, or a combination of all of them. Either way, Virtus Pro, Luminosity, Godsent, and one other team I can't remember off the top of my head won the vote. and everyone is automatically calling this because they wanted Virtus Pro to stay.
Well,
didn't
Pronax from Godsend even tweet out saying like
ESL's doing anything to keep VP in?
Yeah, anything to keep VP in.
Which is true.
It's absolutely true, and I think it's kind of messed up too. I'm going to grab my torch and pitchfork because
I actually think we mentioned it when Virtus Pro originally got relegated at the very, very end of
it's
Pro
going
League,
to happen.
that they were going to do everything they could to keep Virtus Pro in there.
There was no way that they weren't going to be in the Premier League, I guess the Pro League, Premier, whatever they want to use their words. But Virtus Pro is going to be there. We mentioned that, but I don't think it's right because the rules were the best teams move on. And I'm sorry, yeah, you won E-League, but you didn't care enough to beat Penta when it mattered.
You didn't care enough to participate in Pro League for the most part.
It's very true. When they got relegated, they made the statement saying, like, we're just not going to do this. Like, we don't have to. We don't care. So do what you need to do. And I could definitely see why that left a bad taste in these players. Like, imagine how Penta feels now. Where it's like, so hold up. We had to work our asses off to get to where we are today. There was no fan vote to let us go for this. We worked our asses off to win in Premier and then beat them to go pro. And now, wait, here they are next to us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame any pro player that this doesn't sit right with.
So anyway, the whole community mentality bringing it back to Hearthstone and bringing it back to the cheaters and like the cheating accusations in Overwatch and to this situation with ESL, it's entertaining. It really is entertaining to watch. And there's a lot of things to consider when you talk about it, but it's really entertaining to watch just specifically the Reddit community, the front page of the internet, in these different subreddits, just latch on to something and just run it into the ground until either something happens or they give up because nothing, like they're punching sand.
And then next week, completely forget about it.
On to the next one. And so the thing that always cracks me up about Reddit.
Do you remember when it was Reddit's mission to get all the banned players in Counter-Strike back to playing?
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened to that? Why did we just give up on that?
Oh, like WSA or whatever.
Yeah, WSA.
That's done. Nobody talks about that anymore.
No.
I mean, I will say this, the iBuyPower stuff, somebody pretty much brings that up once a month.
Oh my God.
And then it's like a day of like...
Once a month. It is like once a week there's somebody who brings it up. It's maybe once a month there's a big post and it's, guys, I've been thinking about it and I just really feel like they should play again. And then everyone's like, yeah, you're right. They totally should play again.
They totally should.
And then I just slowly just put my head on my desk and
you're like, oh, I've read this before.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, gee, where have this been?
But it's like, and with E-League, when SKLG roster swap happened and both teams ended up getting banned, everyone was kind of up in arms about it. E-League did stand by their guns with that one and said no.
Which we commended for.
Yeah, Blizzard has stood by this Purify thing, and even though the community at large was pretty upset about the card, I think Ben Brody releasing that video and them going like, oh, okay, whatever. Now it's kind of everyone's kind of over it.
At the end of the day, it's one card.
Yeah. Right?
Like, one card was not going to make a difference for the competitive scene in general. And especially it's not going to make it in Priest.
Right.
Because it's a meta for a reason, right? The pros decide what's the best, and then somebody is going to figure out how to counter that best, and then all of a sudden there's a new best.
Yep. It's to a definition, yeah, what the metagame is.
It is a rotating door of useful cards and not useful cards.
My favorite thing to see in all these discussions, and this literally happens in everything on Reddit, is when people start commenting and say, oh man, last week everybody was X. Everybody was talking about this. Everybody was upset about this, whatever. Like, I don't think people comprehend how large Reddit is. And in comment sections specifically become an echo chamber. where it's just say, you know, people are posting things, it gets upvoted, and then more people agree, and then more people agree, and it goes on and on and on. And so eventually you have this giant mob trying to get a player unbanned after he fixed the match. And it's not necessarily the right thing to do, right? I would have never, we talked about that before. I'm totally behind the lifetime ban. Match fixing is kind of rough.
Right.
But next week, we're going to see a post and somebody's going to say something about how they agree match fixing should be a lifetime ban. And then that'll get up votes. And then more people will agree and more people will pile on. So I'm happy that the developers of these games are starting to say, no, you guys are wrong.
Right.
Like you don't know what you're talking about.
We'll make it. Like, we're going to continue our stride, and you'll be here next week, and it'll be okay. Now, I will say there are very, very light rumors that Blizzard tossed around saying, like, well, maybe we'll try. And I don't think this is official. I think the guy on the subreddit for Overwatch was just a dum-dum. But he said he saw somewhere that Blizzard was kicking around the idea of bringing back
Zero hero limits.
Zero hero limit?
Yeah, everyone in the comment section saying they couldn't find any evidence of that.
My God, may heaven help us all if they do that, because Blizzard would never hear the end of it.
Especially because that is such a widely supported rule in the pro scene.
Well, I think even now the Gen Pop supports it after playing it now.
Which is funny because I remember when it first started and everyone was against it because everyone's like, that's a main element of is hero stacking.
We need hero stacking.
And then now you get people that go and play quick play again, and they're like, I hate playing quick play because I'm always playing against 2 Winstons or 4 Genjis and a Lucio, and
you're never gonna make everyone happy, especially on the internet.
Absolutely not.
Let's move on to e-news, because I know we don't really have a whole lot for e-news. I did want to bring up this though, and if we had a daily show, this would have warranted its whole own segment, maybe even 2. But the fact that we have a weekly show and news tends to break the second we turn off these mics, we don't talk about it. But that is Simple joining Na'Vi. So that's his dream team, right? He's always talked about it. From what we've heard from people at these tournaments, that's who Simple hangs out with all the time was Na'Vi. I mean, they're all from Ukraine. It fits. Zeus was out from Na'Vi, which when you think of adding Simple, it's a win-win, right?
I'm still waiting to see who's gonna opt.
You think Simple's gonna have it in him to go to Guardian and be like, sup?
This is my job.
This is kind of my thing.
I do imagine they'll run a lot of the dual op setups that we saw Liquid running with him and Adren, and then him and JDM.
This is true, and I also hope Simple is smart enough to know his place on Na'Vi. Like, I think maybe he had it because, look at GB James. He always said that Simple was difficult to manage. Like, he is a drama queen, diva, however you want to say it. He's the superstar, and you need to treat him like a superstar, or he has no issue being like, then I'm out. Yeah, which we saw the first time on Team Liquid. He said he was out.
I do wonder if him being on his dream team, if that'll change.
Gonna bring him back down to earth,
because he'll be like, "Oh man, I'm actually playing on the top team with top players."
I think it will, because I think Na'Vi as an organization knows they don't have to kiss his ass.
Right.
Guardian knows they don't have to. He's at home. They're all there. His girlfriend's there. His family's there. I mean, what other thing does he have to complain about? You're going to have to listen. What if they don't boot camp? You're going to have to listen to the team. You're going to have to bend your knee to Na'Vi. Right.
It'll be interesting to see. I think probably imagine he's going to be rifling and then secondary op on that team. It'll be fun to watch, though.
For someone who Thorin totes as the future best player in Counter-Strike.
So we talked about this with Team Liquid in Dota being always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Na'Vi kind of has that same stigma. Do you think Simple playing on the team is going to be able to push them over the edge to number 1? Do you think SK is still too dominant right now?
I think right now, oddly enough, I know it's their new roster, but I think right now Na'Vi stands the best chance at winning when people don't know, because Simple's good enough to where, look at Liquid, right? He joined Liquid instantly. They make it to semifinals and finals, right at majors. Him joining Na'Vi, I don't see there being really much of a lag. if anything, he's more used to EU play style. There might be even less of a lag joining Na'Vi than Liquid, so I feel like this is the time for Na'Vi to go. And I mean, I think they could easily. I mean, if Liquid could almost beat SK.
Yeah, so for a while with Na'Vi, the issue being Guardian, if Guardian was having an off game, who was stepping up? Sometimes Zeus would, sometimes it was Flamey, but it was very inconsistent. I think having another game breaker on that team is going to push him over the edge.
No, I agree.
And Fur having all that surgery and stuff going on with his ears and all that stuff is going to kind of SK is probably in a little bit of a shaky situation right now.
I agree, but I do not see how Na'Vi doesn't win with Simple.
With Simple.
Now, I bet you if they don't win, Simple's gonna probably freak out.
He's gonna deuce after
Oh
one
my
major.
God. Definitely going to happen. What else do you have?
The WESG, not to be consumed or confused with the WESA, is the World Electronic Sports Games. Oh, that is such a Chinese name. World Electronic Sports Games. It's a big tournament put on by Alibaba, the giant importer, Chinese version of Amazon. Sells a bunch of knockoff stuff basically for super cheap. I have bought from them. They are pretty reputable. They're putting on a giant tournament, including China, Asia Pacific, CIS in Europe, North America and South America, Middle East, Asia, and Africa regions. Dota 2 and CSGO are going to have a 1.5 million prize pool each, spread out from 1st to 8th place. StarCraft 2 is getting 402,000, and Hearthstone is getting 200,000 for a tournament that's coming up.
Isn't it funny how when Valve announced that all the CSGO majors are going to have $1 million prize pool, we were freaking out, and now that almost seems standard. Like even Gears of War is having a $3 million season.
Yeah.
And Halo's having $1 million. It's like, at the time, it felt like huge. Like it was a huge stepping stone for Counter-Strike.
It didn't take long for everyone to catch up.
One of the, it is the biggest esports as far as FPS goes. And all it took was, half a year for every other game to catch up.
And I also want to point out that this whole WESG thing started from Alibaba investing in the IESF, which is a Chinese International Esports Federation. We've talked about it briefly when we went over WSA way back when. It was actually around before WESA as kind of a governing body specifically for Chinese esports that's been trying to expand a little bit.
Interesting. I got nothing on that. I mean, we will have to see. I mean, I just don't think, for whatever reason, I think if there is going to be a governing body, I don't see it coming out of China.
Absolutely
China.
not. It'll be a European.
It's coming out of China, as Trump would say. I think China could have its own thing, right? Because let's face it, China could probably make its own E-League. When I say E-League, esports league, out of just their teams in general.
Oh.
And completely forget us. And they'd be perfectly okay with that. Only time will tell. Whatever happened to esports in the Olympics?
That was by that IESF.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was them pushing for that, by the way.
Guess that one didn't work out. Oh, well. What can you do? That's going to be it for us today, folks. Thank you so much for listening to The Center Ring, TCR. Episode 38 is done and in the books. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did doing it. Let us know what you think on Twitter at The Center Ring. You can also go to our website, tcr.gg. Let us know what you feel about cheating in esports. What do you feel is just punishment? Should it be a lifetime ban? Should it be monetary? Should it be time? Let us know on Twitter or even on our little email thingy on our website. It's pretty, Brandon does look at that.
It works.
Brandon does look at that.
I get those to my phone and then I'm like, Tim, look, somebody emailed us.
Somebody went. Oh my God. So I hope everyone enjoyed. We will be back next week for episode 39 with Brandon's intense international recap.
Oh, man.
He's going to tell you all the needs to knows. And
I'm going to repeat the newcomer stream on our podcast.
Word for word. Anyways, guys, thanks again for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back next week for episode 39. Until then, take it easy.